Darren Dreger, Chris Johnston, and Pierre LeBrun. 40 trades. I was just looking at the TSN trade tracker where you can keep up to date. 40 trades since the Leafs pulled that Ryan O'Reilly deal 13 nights ago. 40. We go into Trade Center sometimes when there's been a handful, maybe 5. It truly is unprecedented, which begs the question, who is left, which I've been asking you guys all day. And one of the guys left is Joel Edmundson. What's his trade status?
Yeah, he's a player who may not get traded, but he is still on the market. There are a couple of teams interested, I'm told, in Joel Edmundson, who has another year on his contract, which to some teams is scary because of the injury he's coming back from. He's expected to play tonight in L.A., although he's a game-time decision. But to some teams, that's some value because they don't want to spend on a rental. I will tell you this. There is one team that told me we need to see him play tonight. And think about that. Now, one of the teams that we believe has talked to Montreal is the Calgary Flames about Joel Edmundson. And one of the things about the Flames, I mean, they are in such a tough spot right now with the standings and where they are. I think this game tonight on TSN against the Toronto Maple Leafs is gigantic for them as they decide whether they want to add. But in terms of Joel Edmundson, it would fit their needs because it's not a rental. The Flames are not in a position where they can spend big for a short-term solution.
Another team that still would like to be active, believe it or not, is the Ottawa Senators. And they made a big deal getting Jacob Chychrun on Wednesday. And you know, as of Thursday, Pierre Dorion is still said to be working the phones. He isn't necessarily locked in on one priority. I think he wants to survey what's left. We know it's not a lot left out there to get. But in the past, we know that Pierre Dorion has been looking for another center for his team. He's also told his players, look, I'm going to try to add. I'm going to give you the best chance possible to play meaningful games into March, and he's in that position now.
It really is nuts that it comes down to the last week, these decisions. Watch Edmundson play one game or watch Calgary play one game against the Flames to make a decision. In the Senators' case, those 2 games against Detroit is probably what pushed Pierre Dorion. It's crazy on the surface, but it makes sense in the moment that sort of stuff happens. Winnipeg, in a playoff position in a wild card, but flailing a little bit. They got Niederreiter. Might they do more?
Yeah, I mean, they're hoping to do more. You know, there's been some internal debate, I think, around the organization as to whether or not they should be trying to add. Now, they'd like to add a scoring winger, or a forward, I should say, generally. But the point you just made, James, is an important one. The fact that they haven't played that well of late. So there is some internal discussion as to whether or not they use the currency that they have. They don't have a lot of draft picks stocked up. So I don't think that Kevin Cheveldayoff is eager to move out any more draft picks, but he does have cap space, and they're definitely in the market for a scoring forward.
The headline story of this unprecedented trade deadline period is these big 6 teams in the East, and most of them stocking up and many of them going all in. But somewhere in there is Carolina, the second best record in the National Hockey League. Jesse Puljujarvi, Shane Gostisbehere. So kind of middle-of-the-road extra players. Is there more coming for the Hurricanes?
Yeah, right now they have nothing that is close. And it's interesting. It's not like they didn't try. They went all in on Timo Meier, didn't get him. But there isn't an appetite from ownership on down, I think, to spend their first-round pick on a rental. And frankly, there isn't that huge difference maker really available right now on this trade market. But here's what I would tell you. A year ago, Don Waddell waited till 2:59 Eastern and got Max Domi really for nothing. Max Domi no longer available. But is there a player for a cheap price at the last moment that Carolina could fit in? That's possible. But right now, they're okay with their roster.
Right, but there are teams that are looking for forwards, right? We just talked about the Winnipeg Jets being one of them. And what about the Vegas Golden Knights? I mean, Kelly McCrimmon has been incredibly busy. Earlier today, you know, acquiring goaltender Jonathan Quick by way of the Columbus Blue Jackets. But look at how he haggled to acquire the veteran goalie. You know, he gets Columbus to eat 50%. Michael Hutchinson had to be included in that deal. So the Vegas Golden Knights have roughly $3 million in cap space. You get the team to retain, maybe you bring a broker in. That adds up to a pretty big player.
Yeah, an interesting number, that $3 million, because James Van Riemsdyk at 50% retained, he's $3.5 million. And I do think that he remains a fit and someone that is on the radar of the Vegas Golden Knights. James Van Riemsdyk, a veteran player, is at the top of the trade bait board at this hour. It is believed he will be moved by the Flyers by the deadline. And I wonder, too, about the other team you talked about, Dregs, the Winnipeg Jets. There's been some you know, intel to connect those two as well. So, you know, maybe those 2 teams bidding on him.
Good news for you guys. After what's been a crazy month or so attached to your phones, 21 hours and it's completely over. The bad news is 9 hours of that we're on the air for Trade Center.